It sounds hard to believe, but it's real enough that doctors are now issuing warnings about it. Some folks are reportedly attending COVID-19 parties where they actually try to see if they can get the virus. Brian Todd reports.
There's a group of like 50, 60 people just dancing on the road.
Dozens of young people seen at a party in Osceola County, Florida. Sheriff's officials tell CNN affiliate WESH they believe parties like this have led to a spike in coronavirus cases in that area. In Michigan, young people's parties in the towns of Saline and Torch Lake, officials say, have exploded into dozens of cases of COVID. But that's not the worst of it. While some parties are attended by young people who simply think they won't get infected, other parties seem to have been hosted by people who knew they were infected or attended by people trying to get infected, local officials say, driving America's top expert on infectious disease to incredulity.
When I hear about these COVID parties, it just, makes my head spin, because when you get infected, what you're doing is you're not in a vacuum. You are part of the propagation of the outbreak.
Dr. Jane Appleby, chief medical officer at Methodist Hospital in San Antonio, put out a videotaped message in recent days about a 30-year-old patient at her hospital who she said admitted to attending a COVID party.
This is a party held by somebody diagnosed with the COVID virus, and the thought is that people get together to see if the virus is real and if anyone gets infected. Just before the patient died, they looked at their nurse and they said, "I think I made a mistake. I thought this was a hoax, but it's not."
The mayor of San Antonio confirmed that case in an interview with CNN and gave more detail.
They thought they were invincible, that this wouldn't affect them, as a way of to prove their point. And unfortunately, 5 days later, this was a Memorial Day party at the lake. 5 days later, this young man got sick.
Officials in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, recently spoke about information they had received on young people apparently throwing COVID parties in that city. A city council member relaying accounts of grotesque contests.
They're putting money in a pot, and they're purposely trying to get COVID from the person who has COVID, and apparently whoever gets COVID first gets the pot.
Contacted by CNN, health officials in Alabama and San Antonio said they investigated the reports, but could neither confirm nor deny the existence of COVID parties in their areas. Even though younger people appear to be at a lesser risk of severe illness or death from coronavirus, one expert says it's beyond words that they'd play Russian roulette with their own lives or the lives of others.
They may infect their parents or their grandparents or their teachers or their employer, who might be over the age of 65, who might have an underlying condition, and they will die. I can't think of anything more stupid than to go to a COVID party.
Health officials warn even folks who recover from COVID-19 without complications are not immune from complications later in life. The virus could actually lead to heart failure, kidney failure, or even lung disease.